Sara's Growth podcast. I am very happy to have you here. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and also your role at Mission Cure?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Maria. Yeah, my name is Sara Svendsen, and I am a fundraiser by trade. And I've been with Mission Cure for about a year now. We are a nonprofit organization that is focused on curing chronic pancreatitis,
Mhm.
and that's classified as a rare disease. And it's been a really meaningful opportunity for me to be able to be a part of this and being able to help this community that's been overlooked for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Historically, I've been in the cancer fundraising space before this, and I used to work for No Shave November, and we ran the cancer fundraiser where we encouraged people to drop the razor for 30 days and donate what they would have spent on shaving supplies.
Uh-huh.
And it's a really wonderful opportunity to grow and learn about fundraising and grow my skills. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just an area that I think is so important. And you don't always think about fundraising and what
Mm-hmm.
the needs are to keep nonprofits going
Right.
because they are relying on public dollars and
Uh-huh.
individuals' donations. And
Uh-huh.
um, I got my master's in nonprofit management from DePaul University back
Nice.
in 2020. So
Okay.
that was really where I kind of discovered my love for fundraising specifically because I knew I wanted to be in the nonprofit space, but I wasn't sure what role was
Mm-hmm.
the best for me
Mm-hmm.
until then.
It's a beautiful space. Like I admire a lot all of the people that work in nonprofits. It's so beautiful, and also just because sometimes you feel like, oh, okay, like I am doing marketing, I help clients generate more business, but then like your guys' mission is just so beautiful, and um, it's kind of like doctors. It's just such a hard, beautiful job, and so I appreciate that we have people like you in the world.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, there's so much in common with marketing and with just other businesses in general. And, it's kind of funny when people are like, oh, nonprofit, you can't make any money. Like, no, the goal is
Uh-huh.
to
Correct.
actually make a profit, but just it's not going back to shareholders. It's going back to the mission to
Correct.
helping folks. So, that stability in the financial side is
Mm-hmm.
so important
Mm-hmm.
in nonprofits as well. And I was really grateful to be in that master's program to be able to learn about those aspects as well.
100%. And how does your day to day look like? Do you? I guess maybe you have to talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, it is a lot of relationship management and speaking with donors and, connecting with folks who are already in our orbit, whether that's patients or people who have given financially in the past and updating them on all the good work that's been done
Mm-hmm.
because of their generosity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, seeking out new leads and trying to find people that would be interested in the organization. And something that the challenge we run into is that we are classified as a rare disease, and not everyone has heard of pancreatitis. So,
Right.
coming from the cancer space where everyone knows
Everybody.
someone with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
that's been a huge area of growth. And then I'd say last thing I work with on the daily or weekly basis is planning campaigns, whether that's social strategy
Mm-hmm.
with our communications coordinator or fundraising campaigns for events or for Giving Tuesday, for example. So
Mm-hmm. And it's that more campaigns through like digital, or you guys go to events and conventions and things like that.
yeah, we are actually entirely digital. So
Oh,
we are
great.
a very small team and
Mm-hmm.
we are spread across the United States. And then one of my colleagues even is in Dubai. So we're able
Wow.
to, well, we're in Austin, Texas personally. And then some of my colleagues are in New York and then my colleague in Dubai. We all meet for our weekly Zoom meeting. And
Mm-hmm.
We run our gala actually is virtual, and I know a lot of people say, "Really, a virtual gala in five? Like that's very COVID-esque."
Uh-huh.
But as a small organization with folks spread across the country and the world, it's just the most accessible way to
Yes.
be able to bring a community together.
Yes.
And being in the health space, a lot of times our patients don't feel well enough. So even if we were local, they might not be able to attend an in-person event. So we're
Okay.
always focused on that accessibility in the ability to join things in the language we use in our education materials, because I think that's so important.
Amazing. Isn't remote the best? I love it.
Definitely. My little secretary is my French bulldog, and she is at my feet during most meetings, and
Aww, I
it's
love
very
it.
nice to be able to work
It
from
is.
home.
It is. It is. And Sarah, what initially drew you to start in the nonprofit world?
Yeah, I used to work in high school at a local Boys and Girls Club,
Okay.
and I really just fell in love with community impact and community engagement and being able to do good for others and
Mm,
using my skills. I used to work in the art room there actually for a few summers for the summer camp, and just being able to work with kids really was my
oh.
initial draw.
Uh-huh.
And um, as I learned more about the nonprofit space, I saw what good was being done in the health area and the gaps that are being filled by
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits that aren't met by traditional healthcare
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah.
So that really has been encouraging to be able to see the type of progress that can be made and the importance of the work that we do. Um, you know, Personally, I have my own health issues. I'm a type 1 diabetic that I've
Okay.
been, you know, living with that since I was a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so I, used to really look up to organizations like JDRF, which is the Juvenile Diabetes Research
Okay.
Foundation. And so that was really an intro for me into what good could be done. And
Mm-hmm.
that served as an inspiration in my career, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Especially for, as you mentioned, like rare diseases that sometimes the medical body, it's not that they don't necessarily want to investigate more there, but sometimes the funds that are available, they need to go to whatever is like biggest, so cancer as you mentioned, and because more people have it, and so for them it's also very hard to spread those dollars all over the place, then they wouldn't be able to make a lot of difference, and that's why nonprofits builds like such a good mission, and because sometimes you have to start it yourself and do it separately from the government or from the medical institutes.
Definitely. I think that that's absolutely correct. And a huge part of that also comes with the advocacy work that, nonprofits in the health space, especially rare diseases, do. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I can attest that before working with Mission Cure, I had never heard of pancreatitis and I didn't know what that looked
Right.
like.
Me
Someone's
neither.
daily, yes. We've worked with other organizations and we have other kind of community groups that we're a part of with other rare disease organizations. And it's a very similar story throughout that, this was founded because there was a patient or a family that saw a
Mm-hmm.
need there that wasn't being met. And so
Mm-hmm.
they decided to be change makers in their community and rallied, their group and really took it on themselves to make a difference.
Love it. There's always something to do.
Absolutely. The work is never done and there's never enough funding to do it. But
Correct.
we
Okay, Sarah. So Mission Cured, I read that it's pioneering a new way of curing diseases or a new approach. How would you describe that model is?
Sure. So we are taking a multi pronged approach. And we are working directly with biopharma and biotech companies and advocating to them to take on this project of trying to cure pancreatitis, because for so long it's been so overlooked and there are no therapies that exist. For context, patients, when they're having an acute pancreatitis attack, it is excruciating pain.
Wow.
And currently, people typically go to the ER and they're given opioids and fluids and said, sorry, there's not much else that
Right.
we can do for you till it passes.
Uh-huh.
So we're compiling data using researchers to find effective methods and leads, really, in the simplest terms. And we are pitching to these companies to develop something that works for patients. And
Okay.
in that same vein, clinical trials and anything in that development is very expensive. And so if there's a risk there, companies typically won't take that on. So we work by assembling patients as well to help fill those seats in the clinical trials, as well as assembling patients to serve on advisory panels to give feedback into the feasibility of studies. And that's really the research side. And then we're also focusing on educating patients and caregivers, as well as doctors and researchers, and trying to make sure the best, most current information is available so that people can advocate for their own care. And so, patients aren't facing, sorry, there's nothing we can do to help you with. We're giving them the tools and the language to be able to ask the right questions and assemble the right care team for their needs.
Beautiful. Okay, and I don't know a lot about pancreatitis. Can you give us a little bit of maybe numbers? How many people suffer from this in the U.S.? Has it increased with time? Maybe. Why does it happen?
Sure. So pancreatitis can be caused for a multitude of reasons.
Okay.
Oftentimes, there's a genetic component. There are a few gene mutations that are associated with it, but also there is the potential of lifestyle factors can affect it. There's been a huge misconception for years that the only cause of pancreatitis is alcohol consumption.
Oh,
and
wow.
so
Okay.
it's been disproven. It can be a factor, but is not a main factor. And so that is something that Mission Cure has really been working on dispelling, because oftentimes when patients are seeking help, they're just getting accused of being alcoholics,
Oh, no.
and that's not the case. And I think that's really heartbreaking for a lot of people to be living with this pain and then being told that it's all your fault and it's not even true.
Right.
Numbers wise, we are seeing about 200,000 adult cases in the United States and about 25,000 pediatric cases.
Wow.
And those numbers are much bigger when we're looking at a global scale. We estimate well over 1 million folks are living with chronic pancreatitis, and probably significantly more that we don't know about. This disease is really underdiagnosed a lot of times, and so we're always looking for more data. But we've been able to meet a large number of the community, and they're a passionate community who believe in cure, and so we're trying to do our best to get them that as soon as possible, because as chronic pancreatitis progresses, with every instance, it does more damage to the pancreas, and it can eventually develop into pancreatic cancer, which is, I believe, the most deadly form of cancer in terms of numbers. So there are huge implications, and the need and timeliness is there.
And how does this usually affect the person? Like, do they have pain all day, every day? Or is it that sometimes they get like a very acute pain that they cannot like even move?
Yeah, it's both.
Okay.
It certainly is worse when there are flare-ups of the acute
Mm-hmm.
pancreatitis attack. That
Mm-hmm.
really is the debilitating pain, and it can last for hours or days or even weeks sometimes.
Wow.
And folks have had just varying experiences, but I can attest from a few people that I've talked to that malnutrition is a huge issue because eating
Wow.
exacerbates the pain.
Wow.
Um, People have to follow an incredibly low fat diet, like 2% fat in the diet, which is really hard
Mm-hmm.
to do and makes it nearly impossible to eat at restaurants or
Right.
even leave home
Mm-hmm.
because you just don't know what's in your food.
Yeah.
Um, it also, it just, folks have lost their jobs due to the pain or had to
Mm.
take leaves of absence and been on short or long term disability
Oh
because
no.
they just, that it's too much. It's, just centralized pain in
Mm-hmm.
your gut area
Mm-hmm.
that can radiate throughout your whole body. And
Wow.
it has been compared to being worse than childbirth. And it's just
Oh my
constant.
goodness.
Yes, it's intense.
Mm.
I'm lucky to have never experienced it, but I know that one of our kids we work with, he missed, I think, 65% of the school days last year because
Wow.
he was just having so many attacks that he was being hospitalized, or even when he was home, he was just so miserable he couldn't leave his bed. So, this is a real issue
Uh,
for so many people.
yeah, there's nothing harder than a chronic um, issue or chronic sickness for sure. And do you have any maybe a happy story from all of the work that you've done?
Yes, certainly. I know that we talk about pain and chronic disease. It is very sad, but
It's
there are
harsh. Yeah.
um, happy moments. And actually, that same child I was just referring to,
Okay.
he has. There was something really special that happened a few months ago. One of his mom's friends started doing local yoga classes in her community for free,
Okay.
and she offered, in lieu of paying for the yoga class, optional donations to Mission Care.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually had an 11-year-old boy and a 7-year-old boy. They were so moved by everything that Mission Care was doing and the pain that this boy was experiencing. They donated the prize money they had won from their chess tournament that
Aww.
they participated in. And it was so sweet. And they'd never met him, but they said that there is a kid that our age who's suffering and we can do something to
Something.
help. And it's just moments like
That's so
those that, as a
cute.
fundraiser, I think are so beautiful
Mm-hmm.
and are just a true showing of community. So
Yes.
it's it's great to see the support that people
Uh-huh.
give, and even when times are tough, people have across the board have huge hearts, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference to have support. You're not alone. Sometimes we think that we're alone in a lot of situations, but we're definitely not. We just have to look a little bit, open our eyes a little bit more.
Absolutely, it's I think community is so important, and especially when you're in pain and you're at home and you're just living in that
Mm-hmm.
despair, being a part of an online community and being able to talk to someone who relates to what you're going through and
Yeah,
validating your lived experience,
yeah,
I think does a world of good.
totally. Especially because, as you mentioned, doctors don't have yet a lot of tools to understand it. And also the misconceptions where sometimes they think it's because of alcohol. So you go to the doctor and they're not understanding you probably, and you just need that, yeah, as you mentioned, that community of maybe somebody that's going through it to 100% feel that support and understanding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Support and advocacy do a world of good.
Yeah. Okay, and Sarah, how do you measure success at the organization?
I think in a multitude of ways spanning departments. I mean, at its core, I think, the number of patients that we can serve and help is a huge marker in what we're looking at. And we are a very data-driven organization, and our patient education team, which encompasses our patient education manager, as well as our marketing manager, they collect so much data from our newsletter, from our socials, from website traffic on blog posts and toolkit downloads. And we're always trying to shape our work around what actually helps people. Because if we're just putting out something that we think is a good idea, but no one clicks on it, we'll learn and be able to say, okay, we need to adjust our strategy. And, we do mid-year reviews and quarterly reviews on this in strategic planning, and are able to take a really bird's eye look at our curriculum and evaluate. And the same goes for our cure strategy, as we call it, and looking at how many new connections have we made in the pharma world, and what have we been able to do in terms of moving the needle, and who's pursuing projects. And then I think the most straightforward data really comes in my department and looking at fundraising and being, we're looking at these numbers and being able to evaluate the success of campaigns and looking at the return on investment on what was spent on, whether that is a direct mail letter or paid social ads or any sort of gala event promotion. And then as well as our donor base and our contacts, and looking at things like who gave last year and also gave this year, who didn't give, who gave in 2023 but didn't give in 2024, and what can we learn from that to get them back in 2025 and re-engaging that lapsed audience. So we try to take a dynamic approach and looking at it all holistically.
Yeah, I think what you say is spot on, because at this time, it's amazing that we can track so much, and we have to take advantage of that. Because before, it was, of course, a little bit harder. You would put your ad in the newspaper, maybe in a magazine, and that's it. You're really you're hoping clients come through it, but you don't really have a lot of a way to track it very specifically. So thankfully, with the social media, the platforms like the ad platforms, you can. It's not gonna be 100% exact, but it's close that you can track a lot, and of course that helps you a lot to make decisions based on data, as you said, and not based of my gut feeling. um, so and then that way you're able to also keep putting more into what's working and test stuff, and if something doesn't work you stop it. So that's why I like so much about my job. Again, I do a lot of decisions based on data, and I love that now you can do that. How technology has helped us so much, and it's probably going to keep improving.
Absolutely. I think that when we first started looking at all of this data, there's so much available that a huge chunk of time comes with making sense of it and figuring out, what are we seeing trend wise, and what are we extracting from what we're seeing and all the takeaways. So it's been really exciting as a team to be able to grow and see all the progress that's been made.
Beautiful. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about digital marketing.
Sure.
Okay, so you've mentioned that you guys take this as a team. You've mentioned that you have, I think you said marketing manager, but you guys also meet together. So is the marketing totally in a separate department, or do you have a lot of involvement with that as well?
Personally, I have involvement on a rolling basis. I'd say around specific campaigns, such as, at our gala, and trying to get attendance for that. Something that I think is special about our gala is like I already mentioned, it's virtual, but it's free to attend. And we do that because we want patients to participate and there not to be that stop of entry like oftentimes exists with nonprofit fundraising events where it feels like only people who have a lot of money in their pocket can attend. That isn't the case. We want it to be accessible. So I have involvement around that and recruitment, as well as different fundraising events and initiatives. Otherwise, our marketing manager works very closely with our patient education manager, and they work on developing content that really rings true to the pancreatitis audience and things that provide value, whether it's asking questions and gaining insights on their lived experience, or sharing research that has come out, or publicizing a new webinar we have upcoming, such as yesterday we had a live webinar that we hosted through Zoom, and they did a ton of work in recruitment for that through paid advertising on Facebook to try to reach the people that need to see it. So it's a lot of dynamic work that goes into play.
Beautiful. And apart from paid social media, do you guys do any other type of paid advertising, like for example Google ads or Bing ads? What else would it be? Reddit ads?
We've talked about Reddit ads, but have not, to my knowledge, not have taken that on yet. But we are a part of the nonprofit Google ad grant. So that has been game changing in order to utilize all those free dollars to put our name out there and be up in search results. So, our Olivia, my colleague who oversees all of our marketing, she done so much work in optimizing SEO for our website and utilizing the ad grant with the help of a consultant to capitalize on the opportunity. And if there's other nonprofit folks listening, I would encourage everyone to apply for a Google ad grant because it's amazing.
100%. I've actually worked with, I would say, like around 5 Google Ads grants accounts, all nonprofit, nothing related to diseases, mostly animal rights nonprofits. Right now, I only have one, and it's a very specific knowledge that you have to have for nonprofit accounts because they work totally different than other type of Google Ads accounts because they have like some restrictions. So, for example, depends on what bidding strategy you use. You cannot pay more than $2 per click, and you have a $10,000 budget a month that Google gives to you. But sometimes it's hard to spend it because of that limitation of how much you can bid. But there's a couple of tricks that you can do to be able to pay a little bit more. So having like experience specifically in the grants accounts helps a lot to be able to grow those accounts. Because from the ones that I've received, they get to me without being able to spend. Like they spend very little a month, like $800, which is nothing. You have $10,000 to spend. So definitely, like if you know how to do the trick and grow it, it helps a lot the nonprofit to grow.
Certainly, yeah, optimization is necessary. We've definitely run into that where certain things we thought would work were denied because certain qualifications weren't met, or they were listed as medical advice, which is specifically off limits. So there is a lot to learn, but it's certainly worthwhile to invest in that, in my opinion.
100%. And where can listeners go learn more about you or about Mission Cure?
Yeah, you can learn about Mission Cure at mission-cure.org. And we're also on all social media platforms at mission_cure or Mission Cure CP. We're always sharing different educational learnings for patients as well as opportunities. And it's just great to be a part of our community. And we are would love anyone to join, whether or not you have pancreatitis.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Sara Svendsen. But other than this, I am just happy to be a part of a team that's doing good work.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. It was amazing talking to you and learning a lot about what you do and also about the disease. It was amazing, and also you have a very good energy, so that's always very good.
Well, thank you so much. You as well. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about Mission Cure and pancreatitis and, the value of fundraising.